Hello, viewers. Welcome back to the Zenith Glow Astrology channel. My name is Christina, and I am an astrologer, and I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. I have a very exciting announcement today. Now, we are going to talk about Mercury Retrograde because it is turning retrograde very soon. But before I get into that, I wanted to make this announcement. Drum roll. I can't do a drum roll. My announcement is that I have completed and posted an Astrology Foundations course. So, if you are interested in learning astrology, if you would like to understand astrology better, if you are newer to astrology, or if you are looking to fill in the gaps of your current um, base of knowledge in astrology, this course is for you. I have it posted on my website right now, and I will post a link as well in the description of this video so that you can get access to that. And I also want to let you know that I am, of course, running a promotional special since this is all brand new and exciting. So between now and August 12th, if you purchase the course, you can get $25 off the regular price of it. I will go ahead and post the coupon code that you can use during checkout to get access to that discount. Yes, I am. I'm very, very excited. I'm very excited. You guys will have to please excuse me. I feel incredibly overwhelmed about it and a little bit awkward discussing it. And yeah, let me just be a little vulnerable with you all because I think it's important for us to be vulnerable with each other, especially in our current modern age. You know, not to diss anyone, I think a lot of people put a lot of really wonderful creative projects out there. But I find that a lot of things in our culture are very put together. They're very well put together, they're very polished, everything's presentable, it's got this nice kind of veneer on it. And that's all well and good, and it's very professional to do that. But I find that sometimes certain things are lacking that little bit of authenticity, that little bit of raw honesty that I think is at the heart of all of us truly connecting with each other on a deeper level. So that's my goal. I would love to have people connect on a more real level, especially, with Pluto and Aquarius. This is the kind of stuff we're going to be running into with AI really taking off. These are the themes that we're going to be dealing with. What's real and what is not real? So allow me to be real with y'all. This astrology course that I have just put out is something that I've actually been working on for a couple of years now, and it is absolutely near and dear to my heart. I poured my heart and soul into it, and I'm honestly a little freaked out to be presenting it to everyone now, to be launching it, because I don't know, it's an incredibly vulnerable thing to take something that you've put so much of yourself into and give it to the world and see how it is going to be received, whether that's well or not so well. So I feel really nervous about this, but I trust that I can, just put it out there for you guys. And I really hope, my greatest hope for this is that you find it useful, that you find it insightful, that it actually teaches you something that you want to know. I mean, it is a course in astrology, so that's kind of like the bare minimum, right? But it is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that my style of teaching, that my style of communication resonates with you. And honestly, you folks, you beautiful people out there who are watching this now, thank you first of all for watching this. Thank you for supporting me. Again, this is really vulnerable doing everything that I'm doing. This entire year has been like, I don't know, a public metamorphosis for me, which is interesting with what I'm about to say about Mercury retrograde. We'll get there in a second. But it's I'm just so appreciative of all of you, and I just want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you who have subscribed, who have liked, who have watched, who have commented. I really appreciate your support. Truly, from my heart to yours, thank you so much for supporting my journey and for caring about what I create, because I really do love astrology. I love what I do. I love to teach. I love to share information with people. And that is exactly why I created the course, because when I started my journey into astrology, I found it to be so fascinating, and I found it to really offer me insight into myself. And the insight that it offered into my all my little onion layers of my existence, it has really helped me to grow. It's helped me on my spiritual journey. It's helped me deal with my own shadows, with healing, and it's helped me to become the person that I am today. Uh, and I've come quite a long way in a pretty short amount of time. I think that's true for a lot of us. We're kind of going through rapid acceleration of expansion and ascension right now, aren't we? So, this project is just really, really special to me. And I also greatly value good teachers. And I aspire to be a good teacher. I aspire to be a great teacher if I could be. And I'm really inspired by all of the teachers that I have had in my life. And so, again, this project is really important to me because I want to honor them by putting my own little uh, teaching creative project out there and paying it forward in that way. So anyway, I'm getting into the weeds here, but I just wanted to say thank you all for again supporting me, and just know this is super important to me. So if it's something that interests you, please, by all means, I created it for you. I created it to teach you so that you can understand astrology. It teaches you all the basics. You know, we cover signs, houses, planets, we cover aspects, we talk about more detailed things like retrogrades and the lunar nodes, and we go over how to read charts. And, you know, there's a lot of information in there. There's 22 videos, it's more than 11 hours of video material, instructional material. And then I also created some PDF quizzes that you can actually download and print just to kind of help you test your knowledge. And yeah, and of course, I put my own little Christina stamp on everything because how can I not? That's who I am. It just goes into everything that I do, whether I want it to or not. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for letting me share all of this with you. And I appreciate you all so much. And I'm just feeling incredibly grateful because even if this totally bombs, it is a huge accomplishment for me just to finish it and put it out there and take the risk, right? And speaking of, you know, it also is a risk that I am doing this right now because as the subject of this video entails, Mercury is turning retrograde this week. Now, if you follow my work, if you've listened to anything that I've shared on retrogrades, if you've had a reading with me, you know that I typically advise when Mercury is retrograde, especially Mercury, it's not a good time to launch projects publicly or make big announcements. Now, today, when I'm recording this and I'm going to share it with you all, Mercury is not actually retrograde yet. We still have a few days before it officially stations. Uh, but it's definitely in the pre retrograde energy, and it is certainly entering its station. It is slowing down, it is hitting the brakes. We are feeling that energy. So, it is an even bigger risk for me to be doing this right now, launching this course publicly. But, you know, the other thing that I teach folks is that yes, retrogrades have certain guidelines that will help make your life easier navigating those energies when they are present. But you always have to listen to your own inner guidance, and you always have to listen to your higher guidance system. If you believe in that sort of thing, I do. My higher guidance system told me very clearly, now is the time. You got to get on it, push it, do it, finish it, put it out there. Now is the time. So, you know, whatever the result of that will be, we will see. It could be a huge failure, but I know that either way, I was meant to do this now because there's something in it for me. There's a lesson, there's something in it for me at this time. And I'm sharing all of this again with you. Maybe it's too much information. I don't care. I choose to be vulnerable with y'all uh, in case it informs your own experience in some way. Because sometimes we just have to be balls to the wall and take some risks and just see where we land, right? Life is an experiment, and that's part of the joy of living, and we can't always play it safe. So, all right. Thank you again for letting me make my little announcement. And once again, I will post a link to where you can find the course in the description below, as well as that little coupon code that you can enter when you check out to get an extra $25 off the course, which again, I will have that code ongoing through the end of Lionsgate. I'm doing kind of all of this in honor of Lionsgate, so that'll be going through August 12th. Okay. Let's talk about Mercury retrograde. So, Mercury turns retrograde this week on July 17th, and it's going to be retrograde until August 10th. Now, during its retrograde cycle, it will only be retrograding, that is, appearing to move backwards from our earthly perspective through the sign of Leo. So, this is a full on like Leo Mercury retrograde energy, which is significant, which is an important thing, right? And it is interesting that Mercury is taking this little Leo retrograde detour during Lionsgate season. I wonder if that has significance. I think it does. So, Mercury will turn retrograde at 15 degrees of Leo. And then when it stations direct on August 10th, it will be at 4 degrees of Leo when it starts to move forward once again. So if you have personal planets or major angles in your chart that fall within those degrees, you will probably be significantly impacted by this. If you have planets in the sign of Leo in general, you'll probably be impacted by this. If you have Mercury as one of your planetary rulers, you're definitely going to be impacted by this. And in general, we all will. But pay special attention to that 15th degree and that 4th degree of Leo. If you have anything going on within, a few degrees of those points, then this is going to impact you specifically. Yes. As well, I think it's interesting because when Mercury turns retrograde, it's actually a really good time for manifestation. A lot of people get frustrated with the, Mercury retrograde uh, things that happen, the calamities that sometimes befall us. But again, those things happen because people are rushing, they're pushing through, they're trying to do things normally or at the typical speed that they would normally do them. But retrogrades in general, and especially with Mercury retrograde, they want us to slow down. They want us to retrace our steps. They want us to take a second look at things. With Mercury retrograde, Mercury is having us integrate things into our consciousness, literally our conscious mind. This is extra important right now because Uranus just moved into Gemini, and I did a video on that if you want to watch that. But Mercury rules Gemini. So that means that Mercury's energy is directly influencing that Uranus Gemini recent ingress that we have experienced, right? And Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So we are having like some huge shifts in consciousness right now in general, and in particular through this transit. And then as a general, I don't want to say rule of thumb, but like a typical energy of Mercury retrograde means that it's a good time for manifestation because you're able to kind of slow down and really focus on what you want. Oftentimes, when we're in the flow of Mercury retrograde, we have this beautiful opportunity to experience synchronicity. And we get into kind of like the spiritual magic of things. And that's why, and also in the tarot, the magician card is associated with Mercury, with the planet Mercury. So Again, Mercury kind of is the magician as the ruler, the natural ruler of Gemini and Virgo. It symbolizes taking what is in the mind, Gemini, and turning it into something tangible on the physical level, Virgo. That's why we have an air sign, Gemini, and then an earth sign, Virgo, that Mercury rules both. So it rules those principles, right? It relates to manifestation. So when it is retrograde, it's actually a great time to work on manifestation. And then when it goes direct again, you might see some of that stuff start to come into fruition. But this is extra true right now because we're also in, or we're about to go into Leo season and then Lionsgate. And Lionsgate is often associated with abundance as well, on top of all the other beautiful things associated with Lionsgate. So, and yeah, when we bring, sorry, yeah, I'm just like, I'm having a conversation in my own head with myself. Wow, what a Uranus and Gemini kind of thing. But with Uranus and Gemini, we are having these higher consciousness epiphanies and insights coming to us, right, through this transit. And so during Lionsgate, that is extra emphasized because Lionsgate is the time when, the planet Sirius aligns with our sun. So we get like the sun is consciousness, right? And then Sirius has, did I say the planet Sirius? Yes. Anyway, Sirius has those really higher consciousness codes basically that are coming in and funneling through the sun, and then the sun brings it into our conscious awareness. So then when you add in Uranus, which is higher consciousness, particularly through the faculties of the mind, and it is the ruler of or not the ruler, but it's in the sign of Gemini, which rules the way that we think logically, right? And the duality of the mind. I mean, this is like a double whammy, right? But then you throw in Mercury retrograde, we get a triple whammy. So it's a triple whammy time, folks, for higher consciousness, for manifestation, abundance, for shifting things, right? And we will see that that is extra true when we take a look at some of the details here of Mercury's retrograde. So I do want to mention the time that it turns retrograde. It's going to be sextile with Venus as it stations. It's also going to be semi-sextile with Mars. So sextile is when two planets are 60 degrees apart, and then the semi-sextile is, as it sounds, it's half that distance. The semi-sextile is a more subtle, minor aspect that kind of works on us in a more unconscious way, and it's a little bit trickier to integrate those energies, but it's still a harmonious aspect nonetheless. So we have two positive aspects happening there. I will mention that Mercury is also going to be squaring Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio at the time that it stations retrograde. So we might get a little bit of tension coming through that aspect. But again, Black Moon Lilith, she tends to be a little bit more subconscious. So these things are not necessarily going to be in our face. It's just energies that will be kind of running through the undercurrent that we might be feeling. Now, at the end of its cycle, when it gets to that 4th degree of Leo and it starts to station to turn direct again, it's actually going to be making aspects to the outer planets. So it will be trine Saturn and Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct still. They've been in conjunction for months now, but at the early degrees of Aries. So it's going to be trine with Saturn and Neptune in Aries. It's going to be sextile with Uranus. That's significant, right? Because I'm talking about all of this consciousness shifting and these higher codes, downloads, and all these beautiful manifestation opportunities coming in. At the same time, it's going to be opposite of Pluto in Aquarius. Whew, that's going to be intense. So, transformation, opportunity, shifting consciousness, bringing in the spiritual, grounding it in a structured way, shifting our identities, shifting the way we look at everything. There's a lot on offer with this particular Mercury retrograde. Now, I also want to mention that on July 21st, Mercury will be conjunct with the Sun. So, when we experience a solar conjunction during a personal planet retrograde, well, really during any of the retrogrades, but especially the personal planets, and especially Mercury because it's so close to our Earth, our planet where we are. It's very close to us. That is a highly significant point during the retrograde cycle. It is a peak moment. It actually represents the halfway point during the cycle, and it is symbolic of literally a shift in consciousness, right? Now, that's true if we're talking about Venus, if we're talking about Mars and their retrogrades when they come into conjunction with the sun. But because Mercury itself rules our mind and our consciousness, right? Our conscious awareness, our logical, linear, rational mind, having that conjunction with the sun means that we are literally going to have like, aha, like, ah, yes, this is what this entire period has been about. Now, I've written about this in my retrograde deep dives that I've done on my Substack blog, if you want to go check that out. I've talked about it in other places as well. But it is the mid-cycle shift. We experience a shift in energy. It's sort of like the climax of the retrograde cycle, the big peak moment that we all experience. There's a heightening of energy at that point. And I have come to discover that the specific degree, I know this is getting real nerdy, but the specific degree at which the retrograde planet comes into conjunction with the sun holds particular symbolism for the entire retrograde cycle. Okay, so Mercury will be conjunct with the sun on July 21st at 9 degrees of Leo. 9 degrees of Leo. But when we're looking at Sabian symbols, okay, and go Google that if you don't know what it is. I've talked about it before. You can look it up. But when we're talking about Sabian symbols, when you look up a Sabian symbol, you actually want to defer to the next degree up. So if you have a degree that's like 9 degrees, 22 minutes or something, it's not exactly 9 degrees, then you want to go up to the 10th degree to look up the Sabian symbol. That's why I said 10 degrees. So don't let me confuse you there. So, I feel like I need glasses, but no, I don't want glasses. I'm happy I don't need them right now. I'm sure one day I will. So when we look at the Sabian symbol for 10 degrees of Leo, this Sabian symbol is represented by the following depiction. Early morning dew sparkles as sunlight floods the fields. Picture that. Early morning dew sparkles as sunlight floods the field. That's just flippin' beautiful. So the keynote of this symbol, the exalted feeling that rises within the soul of the individual who has successfully passed through the long night, which has tested his strength and his faith. I got chills, y'all, when I read that, especially considering the year we've been in. Okay, just a little bit more on that. The cold air of night having precipitated upon the field of man's consciousness the moisture of his deepest feelings, this widely spread dew is blessed with the light of significance by the rising sun of the new day. Even tears can be transformed into jewels of light, of victory over night and sorrow. I feel like I'm reading a poem. It's so beautiful. This is Dane Rudyard's book, by the way, that's all about the Sabian symbols if you want to explore that yourself. But that is just so stinking beautiful. And that is, once again, this is the degree at which Mercury will be conjunct with the sun during its retrograde cycle. So that halfway point represents the culmination of the retrograde cycle, and thus the Sabian symbol at which the sun and Mercury are conjunct holds the symbolism for the importance, the significance of the entire cycle. It's like the keynote of the entire retrograde cycle. So when we put all this together, early morning dew sparkles as sunlight floods the field. Again, I feel like I'm reading a poem. And again, the exalted feeling that rises within the soul of the individual who has successfully passed through the long night, which has tested his strength and his faith. I mean, I've said it before I'll say it again. This year has been tough. I have been going through some just huge changes personally in my life, deep within my soul. I've been talking to other folks, they've been experiencing similar things. So I think many of us are undergoing a huge transformation this year. I believe, this is indicated by that Chinese astrological symbol of the wood snake, which I talked about months ago. It's a huge year for change and transformation, right? And most of us know when we go through change and transformation, it's not an easy thing. It's not it's not like casting off some old coat that you've been wearing forever. It's like giving birth. It's hard. It's labor, right? It's laborious, and it can be draining, and it can be challenging, it can be disorienting and confusing. And if you look at all of these outer planets changing signs and just the eclipses and everything that we've been through this year, it's just been a lot, a lot. And for me personally, it's been a slow burn, and I feel like I've been just carrying this huge weight for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. And I'm not allowed to put it down. And I'm super tired, but I'm still going. So when I read something like that tells me that this Mercury retrograde, which is, by the way, happening about halfway through our year, right? We are about halfway through the year now. And we just had our full moon in Capricorn, which is the halfway full moon of the year, right? So we're now officially halfway or over halfway into 2025. When I read something like that talks about metamorphosis, reformulation of the self into a better and lighter version of who you are so that you can expand into the highest expression of your being. That's ultimately what this is talking about. It's talking about seeing the hope after this dark night of the soul. I mean, that is just so beautiful. I think it's so beautiful and so inspiring. So, this Mercury retrograde cycle is a significant one, folks. We do experience these at least 3 times a year, so they're a regular occurrence for us, but um, this particular one holds some extra weight, and it is bringing us some extra opportunities for abundance, but also for expansion of consciousness, which is just so exciting. It is so exciting. I'm not surprised that my little spirit team recommended or strongly encouraged me to take the risk to put my course out there at this time, because it just feels like a really, really important period that we are about to enter into. So I hope that you all make the most of it. And once again, if you have degrees that are like around 10 degrees of Leo or 4 degrees of Leo, or what was that other one? 15 degrees of Leo. And if you have other planets that are at those degrees in your chart, even if they're not in the sign of Leo, this Mercury retrograde cycle is going to be impacting you very, very acutely. And that's probably going to be a good thing, especially reading everything we just read here. So, folks, I hope it is a beautiful and blessed Mercury retrograde. Remember to take it slow. My new mantra for Mercury retrograde is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I know that comes from the military, but they've got something there. They have it right. And I started putting it into practice because I was having some of those like, I gotta rush around and I gotta do this. Mercury can kind of make you frantic and frenetic like that. And I took a moment and I stepped back and I took a breath and I said, no, Christina, do this slow on purpose. See what happens. And you know what? It went beautifully, and I fell into a wonderful flow, and I started to experience synchronicities. And man, I'm telling you, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So I hope that everything works out well for you during this period. Thank you again so much for tuning in and for letting me tell you all about my exciting new creative project. I want to thank you all. I love you all. Please consider liking and subscribing. It helps support my work. And otherwise, Have a happy, blessed, blissed Mercury retrograde, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Thanks for watching. Bye.